What's up guys, Carl from TDG here. Figured we pop in real quick just to do a little build overview for what our plans are for the 3.26 Secrets of the Atlas expansion. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was really torn about this for most of the week, and finally I actually ended up stumbling upon this build that you see playing in the background from Waffles Loves ARPGs. And I'm not gonna lie, at first I wasn't convinced, wasn't sure if I was gonna like this style of play. And then I just kept looking at some of the other build guides that were popping up, some of the build overviews, and I'll tell you, I just kept coming back to this. I don't know what it is about this playstyle, what it is about this. Maybe it's just the incredibly high DPS potential that we have, but I'm going to be following the original build by Privy and trying to do a little bit of min-maxing, maybe to make it my own, make it a little bit more of my play style and less cookie cutter where it's just following every single button that he clicks. However, I do know that he is the guy to go when we come to talking about the BAMA play style. So we'll definitely be leaning on his build and his POV for some heavy lifting, especially as we get things started and get the build rounding out, and as well as looking for some proper insight into the proper choices to make and the proper builds decisions as we look to get everything coming together. Now, as we do this, there's going to actually be two choices that we can make for the BAMA playstyle. There is going to be the Necro BAMA as well as the Guardian BAMA. I'm not going to lie, guys, it really took me quite a bit of time to look into this and to really come up with a decision. I ultimately decided that although I thought the necromancer would be really fun, being able to use a chaos style, bypass some of that energy shield, and just have some of what I would consider to be true damage, not having to worry about energy shield, and having probably more true damage just based on the fact that there's less chaos resistance from mobs in the game, I'm actually going to be doing the opposite, and I'm going to be leaning towards using the Guardian. I think it'll be fun to see what the Guardian feels like. I'm hoping it's a little smoother as the progression style would be with the Sentinel that we're going to get to use. And then I'm also hoping that that's going to be a little easier without needing to keep up all of the minions and the animated guardians and all that good stuff. It should also open up the use of a unique helmet, which I'll flash on screen, that we're going to be looking to take advantage of as well. And then on top of this, we're going to also be getting some extra damage coming from the mercenaries that we're going to be using. So we're going to be trying to equip them with gear that normally you would find on the animated guardian, and we're going to be trying to use the merc as kind of a substitute for that. So we're going to be trying to slap on the Learcat for minions deal an increased 50% damage, the Dying Breath for nearby allies deal 18% increased damage and have 18% increased cursed effect, as well as the Perkle's Toe, which is going to do nearby allies damage with hits is lucky. Now, we don't have to worry about the downside for the Perkle's Toe because it's going to be on our mercenary, so it doesn't matter about us taking the lightning damage as unlucky and giving us that downside for more damage taken. And I'll say that that's probably going to be one of the more expensive items that we're going to be able to pick up this league, because I'm pretty sure everybody is going to be trying to run that and throw that on their mercenary because there's going to be no downside whatsoever to running that item. But we'll take a peek and we'll check that out as we get a little further into the league. So one of the other things that's going to be important to remember is that when we're playing this build, we actually are going to be using Transfigured gems. So I'll slap those on screen as well so we can take a peek at those. But what that means is that we're probably going to have a little slower play style or a little slower progression as we start making our way through it. Predominantly because we're going to have to farm the Blink Arrow of Bombarding Clones or the Mirror Arrow of Bombarding Clones from the Labyrinth. So really the major difference between those two skill gems is going to be whether or not we telepoint to the point where we are attacking. But as you can see from the video above, really all it's going to be is that these clones are going to function as totems, and they are going to rain down, literally rain of arrows from above, and just deal like absolutely absurd amounts of damage due to the overlaps and the stacking mechanics that they get. So that's going to be really what we're looking to take advantage of. So what we'll do here is we'll jump into the POB, and I will do a very brief overview of the POB provided by Privy to get started with the Guardian that we are going to be playing. All right, and now that we are over in the POB, let's do a really rough overview of Privy's POB build. So this is currently looking like a level 92 build. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I really didn't touch much of this. This is just what was already provided. We can take a peek at some of these items. It all looks pretty achievable, really nothing too crazy here if you just know what you're doing and know how to do a little bit of crafting. The only big thing here is that ancient skull, and that is what I was talking about earlier as one of the items that we're going to be really looking to build around and get a little bit more of our damage coming from. We're going to be starting our journey in the 3.26 as a Templar, most notably starting with the Roland Magma skill, probably throwing that together with some firewall just to get some extra damage, some extra pops. I'm pretty sure Tim is going to be rocking the righteous fire build, which means we're both probably going to be rocking the rolling magma to start off with. So that should be pretty interesting. That should actually make for some pretty amazing clear speed to start with. Now, that's also going to give me a little bit of a benefit here, right? Like we've talked about, we're going to be doing mostly a solo self-found playthrough, self-imposed though, so we're going to be doing a little bit of stretched rules here, so it's going to be self-imposed. And Carl from the future here, just wanting to clarify this. So what I mean by this is that we're going to be playing solo self-found, but we're going to be treating this as a group solo self-found. So we're going to be trading between each other, and we're going to be working together to try to achieve the builds that we're looking for, but we're not going to be achieving or trading with anybody else who's not within our group of just the two of us. This is going to be a little way of us having our own like little private league, or just working together to give Tim a better first look at PoE1. All right, back to the rest of the video. Now, that's going to mean that I can rely a little bit more on Tim to do some of the clear in the early game, and maybe even allow me to start farming and have a increased rate or increased chance of getting these BAMA nodes, or these BAMA gems, I should say, so that we can switch into this playstyle a little earlier. I really think that's what I want to do. I'm not really a huge fan of major respecs, but if I have to do that, I will. But we'll play it by ear and we'll see how that actually ends up playing out. But anyway, taking a quick peek at this build, you can see that we just start off really strong here, running up. We're going to be grabbing some life nodes right into these minion nodes, coming up here for some more minion and crit multi, life, some aura reservation and aura or mana efficiency, reservation efficiency, grabbing some more minion nodes over here, running our way down to some grave pack, again focusing on a lot of these aura and minion nodes, some skill effect duration here to keep the clones up a little longer, running over here to fulfill or saturate some of that spell suppression, a little bit more spell suppression over here, some more life, and again making sure that we're getting some more sustain through mana and mana reduction cost. And then we're going to be playing the cannibalistic rite on our amulet for a teal Azor, which is going to further reduce the cost of mana and trigger that into some life. Now, one of the final versions of this build that I've seen is actually pretty gnarly. It actually comes all the way over into blood magic. That seems like a pretty crazy build on the high end. I think one of the POBs I saw actually ranges all the way up into like 160 million DPS. We'll see if we end up getting to there. I might not play any other builds other than this league if this is really what I'm enjoying. I think this will allow me to do all of the content that I want to do. And I really am somebody who just likes to completely min-max builds and just invest deeper and deeper into a build rather than re-roll. I really just enjoy that more, seeing how much I can make something do and really making a build my own as I start to understand it more. Now, not gonna lie, I've never played this build before, never played anything like this build before. Played totems in the past, but this does feel a little different than that. And I'm thinking this is going to be pretty interesting to throw together. And then just very quickly before we jump out of here, I figured we would go over what the late game setup is going to look like. Now, this is a 5-link setup so far. So we have our Blink Hour of Bombarding Clones, linked with elemental damage with attacks, volatility, minion damage, and fresh meat. We also have our Mirror Arrow of Prismatic Clones, linked to Cullen Strike, Feeding Frenzy, Guardian's Blessing, Haste. And there's going to be some pretty fun things we can do with this to basically keep up permanent haste, but I'll go over that in a video where I actually have some control over the character once I get it up and running. Like I said, I've never fully played this build before, so I don't really have any personal gameplay footage to show you guys, but I will be making sure that I keep everybody updated with this as we go a little bit further. But with that being said, guys, let me know what you thought about this video. What are you going to be playing in the league start? Have you played BAMA before? What were your thoughts on that? Don't forget to leave a comment down below, like if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe. And I will catch you guys all in the next one. Peace.